10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, Adam Zimbrowski here with Hospiamo. I love my countdowns. I'm live and all alone here. I've had a busy couple weeks, but the show must go on. My partner in crime here, Matt, he is traveling with our my nephew and his son, and former highlighted special guest here on the People Who Move podcast. They're traveling. They're out there in the West, and they're going to come back with some stories, um, specific travel stories. They're out in Zion National Park, and they're staying in hostels. They're staying Airbnbs, camping, alternative lodging type stuff. And so I'm here, and I'm taking this opportunity to talk about hotel ownership and the economics behind it, of hotel ownership and franchising, hotel management, employment, engagement. And what is inspiring this is the Wall Street Journal came out with a really cool, like 8-minute YouTube video or post specifically about the economics of hotels. I want to thank David Chan with Agile Game Changers, a partner of my brother's, awesome guy. We've been partnering together on creating Agile hospitality methodologies and frameworks. Those are to be announced, and very excited about all that. But just last night, he texted this video here that I'm going to play. I'm gonna try not to talk over it too much, but I might stop it a couple times. But it's so good, and I want to thank Wall Street Journal for doing it. And it is specifically about Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, with a focus on Marriott and the history of Marriott. It's fascinating. On a previous episode, I went through a research, a very high level result of a research project that me and some partners did over a 4-year period about hotel employee engagement and what it's like to work in the hospitality industry. And we went deep into this exact subject. We went back 25 years of that started with Marriott deciding to go what they call asset light, and they sold all their real estate back in the 90s, right? And this is what the YouTube video is, and it speaks to it in 8 minutes with great visuals and great examples and great interviews. I'm a former Marriott employee. I'm a former Hilton employee, and I've worked with Hyatt quite often. And I have the utmost respect for these companies. And those are the 3 companies that Wall Street Journal focused on with this quick show of the economics of hotels. And so it's really cool. I'm going to play a little bit right now, and then I'm going to take you through the Marriott study that we did with engagement, and it's pretty cool. I won't be too long, but any questions, y'all just give me a shout. I'm very curious about what you think about all this, and we will have some follow-up conversations too. So thank you, and here you go.
There's something going on in the hotel industry. Just look at this one block in Chicago. These might seem like 3 different hotels, but they're actually all Marriott. Over the past 20 years, Marriott has more than tripled in size. And we can trace this boom back to a decision Marriott made decades ago to move away from the real estate business and instead commodify its name.
Well, of course, as you might imagine, we think we're the best. We are the largest, 8,700 hotels in 139 countries and territories, really showing expertise around the world for what we think hospitality means.
And you can see the same happening for competitors like Hilton and now Hyatt, because they're also following a similar playbook.
It's commonplace to actually invest behind real estate in order to build a brand and then over time sell down real estate. We wanted to do it in a very deliberate way.
With this business model, the brands don't have to run most of the hotels that fly their flags, nor do they have to pay for them. In most cases, that responsibility falls on people like this guy.
So independent owner operators like us generally own the hotels and employ the team members. Most people think that they are Marriott employees. They're generally MCR employees.
So why did this shift happen? And how does it affect the customers? This is the economics of hotel chains. The business today looks like this. These are the names you're familiar with: Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt. And these are the players who actually front the money to buy the real estate, hire the employees, and run the day-to-day operations. Owners pay to use these big hotel names, referred to as flags in the industry. And it's a departure from the tried and true strategy of decades before.
If you go back to the 50s, everything was owned, operated, and flagged by the same person.
MCR is the third largest hotel owner-operator, behind these two real estate investment trusts.
We get all the revenue, and then we get whatever profits are left over. And we pay Marriott or Hilton a franchise fee to be part of their system.
That means hotel brands mainly have money to gain with every new hotel.
Because they were not on the hook for the asset cost, they were able to scale up their brands much faster.
Moving to franchising removed a lot of the financial risks associated with real estate.
One of the things we realized as those hotels got more and more popular is that by building them all on balance sheet and with dealing with economic cycles, we were constrained. Our growth was constrained.
Now, Marriott and Hilton each own less than 1% of their properties, while Hyatt owns about 2%. But in shifting to this strategy, major hotel brands now have to focus on a new customer.
All right. So, real quick here, I'm going to put that back up there. This is educational, I hope, for most people. This is a topic of conversation with my family, anyway, that I always bring up quite often. And it's always meaning, did you know that Marriott doesn't own any hotels, or less than 1%, and usually they don't employ the people at the property level, and they're employees of a third-party management company or a franchisee or an owner, and it's always met with I had no idea. It's just a fascinating topic, and so the question about a minute ago was, how does that affect the customers? Okay, so they said that this started decades ago, and it started in the 90s, and so meaning Marriott, when they were no longer the owner and the operator, or the employer and the brand. Okay, so now they're just the brand, unless they're going to get to a little bit later on what hotels they do manage. It rhymes with Buxury, luxury hotels. Pretty much all of them, like the Ritz-Carltons of the world, luxury division, they do manage those. And so anyway, so this right here I found to be the critical slide. And they don't really talk about it a lot in this episode, but it's the narrator says here, and I'm going to play it again. It's really important.
The owner is the
I'll have to focus on a new customer.
Focusing on a new customer, okay? Meaning Marriott formerly was focusing on the customer themselves because they were managing the employees and they were managing the hotels, and they were the brand and they were the real estate owner. So now they have a new customer. So think about that. I'm going to get to the research project that we did, and that has to do with the engagement chain, or the service profit chain. It's also known as that. In my mind, and I was trained that Marriott or Mr. Marriott, they invented that in my mind, saying, if you really focus on your team members, or Mr. Marriott called them associates, focus on your associates will focus on the guests, and the guests will enjoy themselves and they will return. They'll become loyal to your hotel or your hotel brand. And then the profits will take care of themselves, right? That's the service profit chain. Look it up. There's a wonderful book about it. Maybe we should have an episode just about that. And so when that was developed in the Marriott's first hotel opened up in 1957. And so for about 40 years, right, it was the service profit chain. And so all those innovations with them focusing on the customer, the guest, and their associates, the people that they'd employed in the field that were focusing on the customer. This slide here that they kind of bounce over, we could spend weeks and weeks and weeks just talking about this one topic, the fact that Marriott's customer changed. And so I'm going to keep it going.
The owner is the one that puts the brand onto their hotel, and that's what drives franchise fees to the brands.
Those fees can amount to anywhere from 5 to 15% of what the property brings in. So the brands have to prove that having the name is worth it. Hotel brands say,
It more than pays for itself.
because in addition to data on how lobbies should look and what amenities to have, they also provide data to help the owner get the most money for each room each night.
At the end of the day, you are saying, what will the market bear? When there's a Taylor Swift concert coming into a market, we see the rates literally out to 40 miles away go crazy.
In dynamic cities, the price of a room could change multiple times in one day.
We get questions all the time and they say, I was going to book for $199 and now the rate just went up to $249. Then you should have booked at the $199. The prices are fleeting.
Every one of our full service hotels has a revenue manager, and they take account of what's going on in that particular marketplace.
And these systems also calculate rates that optimize for the hotel's bottom line.
We don't want to sell out our hotels just on a Tuesday because then that leaves us exposed on Wednesday. So we may sell that room at an extraordinarily high price, because what we really want is for you to book Monday to Wednesday or Tuesday to Thursday.
This helps make up for less profitable days.
So that's another really nice topic at Thanksgiving dinner, because this answers a lot of questions for the general public. And I think the travelers of the world are becoming a lot smarter. And I'm very curious about the experience of people that don't work in the hotel or hospitality industry, but they travel a lot. And let's say they're not corporate travelers that travel a lot, but they're paying for the rooms out of their own pocket, right? So leisure travelers, let's say. I think leisure travelers have become so much smarter over the probably the past 10 years, but really since the internet age, and sites like Expedia, TripAdvisor, Priceline, hotels.com, and a lot of customers used to go direct and just book directly on hotels.com or Expedia, and they're going to talk about that in just 1 minute. But now they're using those sites more as like to shop, right? So I think that's pretty cool. And so that's what this portion is talking about. And this does answer a question, and I'm curious, if my brother was on here, I would ask him about his experience. But this is a very real and everyday occurrence where if you're booking on a Friday and you see that the hotel is charging you $199, and then you check, what if I come in on a Thursday and it says, all right, it's $119, and then you look on Saturday and it says $199 again. And then if you try to book Friday and Saturday, maybe it's going to be $179 for both of those. Or if it's in this example here, you see this right here on this Tuesday. What they were just explaining was that it's called a sell through. So they want you to they will incentivize you to book. They might say that you're completely sold out on a Tuesday when they're actually not, for one night. Okay, you try to book on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, all of a sudden there's a room available on Tuesday. So I think this is pretty cool, explained very clearly. So I'm going to keep it going.
We're giving the rooms away on Sundays. It is the worst night of the week because business travel does not really occur on Sundays, and neither does leisure.
There's no worst night. Come on.
Flying a flag can also help owners target wider pools of hotel customers with better fees for booking platforms like Expedia and Booking.com.
So if you buy a hotel room via Expedia for a Marriott hotel, we pay a lower Expedia fee, we the owner.
But analysts
So it's a little misleading when they say they pay a lower fee compared to what? They're still paying a fee to Expedia, but it's not. It's lower compared to what like an independent hotel would pay. So that's why these Marriott uses their weight to negotiate lower fees for travelers to be when they do use Expedia, a third party, or OTA as we call it, online travel agency. If you're an owner of a Marriott hotel and a traveler books through Expedia, the owner only pays maybe 11% to Expedia. Whereas if you're an independent hotel and you're not affiliated with a franchisor like Marriott, Hilton, or Hyatt, then you're paying upwards of from between 15 and even 30% of that rate, and that the guests don't know that because they're just paying a rate, and that just comes out of your commissions that you have to pay. So that's another generally unknown topic, and so keep it going.
say an even bigger draw are hotel loyalty programs. Marriott and Hilton each have over 180 million members. Hyatt has more than 40 million. And thanks to points, guests are incentivized to shop within these programs,
The points have essentially become currency.
which can help increase the customer base for flagged hotels in smaller markets.
If you're in a secondary or tertiary market, you generally fly a flag because that brings people to your building because they want the points. The idea is you earn the points in Corpus Christi or in Yuma, Arizona, and then you redeem them in Miami and New York.
Today, 2/3 of all hotels in the US are branded, but the franchise model isn't always beneficial. For owners in high demand markets, like those with more leisure travel, independence might be a better option.
The highest performing hotels in Manhattan are independent hotels. You have a greater elasticity of demand. So usually the highest performing hotels are smaller.
But brands do operate some properties, mainly in this tier, whereas franchising mostly happens in these.
Those operations have dramatically fewer touch points and offerings by virtue of the fact that they're designed for a person who wants a great room to stay in, a quick option for breakfast, but they don't need other things. They don't need a ballroom. They don't need a specialty restaurant. They don't need a spa.
In the luxury tier, those amenities are expected, creating more complex logistics. That's why most luxury hotels are still operated by the hotel brand itself.
With respect to most other full service and luxury properties and resorts, we would prefer to manage because we want to control all aspects of the delivery of the guest experience.
Specifically at the luxury end, we do overwhelmingly manage those hotels. And we wouldn't, for example, be talking about franchising an Edition hotel. What having this range of brands gives us the ability to appeal to our customer for every experience and location that they want. And that is really important for Bonvoy.
In some rare cases, hotel brands will still strategically purchase a property. Marriott bought this W Hotel in New York to use it as an incubator for new ideas and designs, and Hyatt purchased Hotel Irvine.
We bought the hotel, we completely renovated it. We will eventually sell that hotel.
But by and large, more hotels are outsourcing the owning and operating of their properties, increasing the volume of branded properties offered to consumers today.
The customer now has more choices. They have more places to both earn and redeem. But what you have seen in the past 25 years is a consolidation. There are really 3 or 4 big hotel flag families now.
And looking at the properties in construction, the number of branded hotels is only set to increase. Thanks for watching. If you liked this, we have a deeper dive into the specific economics of Hyatt, and we have a full interview with the CFO of Marriott. Click the link here or in the description to watch on WSJ.com.
Nice job. I want to give these people a shout out here. That was really nicely done in a short period of time, 8 minutes. Wall Street Journal. Nice job. Really nice job. So I would encourage anyone to check that out. Just type in the economics of hotel brands, right? And that's what it's called there with Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt. Really nice job. So now I'm going to be talking through some of the what they were mentioning there about the customers, the employees, management, and ownership, and the brands and the flags and things like that. And so we got very curious. I did, wanting to know some of the numbers and the stories behind this path of over the past 25 or so years in the late 90s when the brands changed who their customer was. And so this is a quick slide. And by the way, Adam at Hospiamo, if you're at all interested, I will just send you this research. I thought about putting it online for sale, but I think that everybody should know things like this. And so I'll just send it over to you, to our millions of fans out there. So just send me a note and I'll send you copies of this stuff that we did. So yeah, so this is a quick slide talking about, this is like a year and a half ago. The hotel revenues exceeded the previous peak of 2019 before the pandemic, before COVID, right? But the number of labor dollars was about the same as it was, but average wage went up by 20%, and the number of hours went down by 20%. Okay, so you're talking about 400,000 less people serving at the property level. That was the impact of the pandemic. There were pros and cons and things like that. It's wonderful that the average wage, that were and the starting wages increased. That's personally, I just think that's amazing, and that's a really good thing. But that did hit a ceiling of the budgets, and that's another episode that we had a few weeks ago, which we can get into. And we're talking about the effect of engagement, right? And what is engagement? So we did an engagement study. We went through the history of Marriott, and we found out a few things, and I'm happy to share this with you. Back to the customer, the question was, what about the guests? And the impact on guest satisfaction. So shout out to JD Power and Associates. This is from July of 2022 press release. They're talking about the revenues being back to where they were, but there was a 8-point decline in satisfaction. And what they found was that the hotel costs and the fees associated made the guests feel like they were paying more, but they weren't getting more in return. Okay, that has to do with, of course, less people to be there to serve. And so you're waiting a little bit longer at the desk. People might not be answering the phone. You might be dealing with some more automation than you're comfortable with. If you don't like kiosks, then you'd rather have a face-to-face communication, and you're paying $250 a night and things like that. That was, it still is an issue. So then we did a study looking at Marriott, all publicly available information, and it was awesome because I've been affiliated, either an employee or as a management company employee or a franchisee of Marriott since I first started after working at Foxwoods Casino. This is 1998 was my first job at a Marriott, and I was working for a franchisee at that time, one of the largest at the time, called Interstate, and I'm going to mention them in a minute. And so, yeah, so I personally experienced this change. Okay, so I experienced the change of when Marriott changed their customer. And that's why I think that mention in the Wall Street Journal video is so critical. So I'm going to go through some stats here. So when I was doing this, I can't remember where I was flying to, but I sat next to somebody on a plane, and you guys know I like to talk, but usually if I'm on a plane, I'm silent, and I don't like to be messing with people and stuff like that, sitting so close. But this guy was chatty, wanted to know what I did for a living and things like that, and so we just got talking. And so this is a quote. He was fascinated, and I was not prodding him for information, but he's a very loyal Marriott Bonvoy customer, and he had been for like 30 years, right? And he was like, why is it so different when I stay internationally? Why is it so different when I stay at a Ritz-Carlton than when I stay at like a Courtyard Marriott in DC? And I told him one word, and it's not for a blame, but we did talk about it. And I think that you guys would know what word that is, right? There's a reason for all this, and this is what we're talking about. So this is his quote. He says, "I usually can't afford to stay at the big Marriotts. And so when I book a regular Marriott hotel like a Courtyard or Fairfield Inn," he says, "I always assumed the people working at the property were employed by Marriott. After I learned that that might not be true, it explains why my experience traveling for work are so better when I stay at an international Marriott versus one in the United States, especially when booking for my family." He asked me, is there a website that shows me these people, who they're working for? Because I'd like to know beforehand. And so that's where the word franchising came up, right? And so these are the numbers behind what they were talking about in the video. So this is part of our the study that we did, and it's fascinating. So I hope you can see it. If not, just let me know, but I'll walk you through it, and I'll just take 2 minutes here. So this shows the which property or how many properties are employed that Marriott manages, meaning that they manage the employees or they employ the employees at the property level, and a history between I think it was 1998 until 2022. And so this here, 119, represents the average number of rooms for the select and limited service properties versus the full service and premium and luxury properties for Marriott hotels. So the average is 119 and the average is 344. So what does that mean to you as a customer? You stay at a bigger hotel, there's a bigger chance, a larger chance for you to interact with a Marriott employee. Okay. And I'm going to go through the very limited chance, unlikely and rare chance that you're going to interact with a Marriott employee in the United States. Very rare. And that's what they mentioned in the video. And I think that's pretty cool. And so, and it is from franchising, right? And it's a slow burn. It happened in the late 90s until today. So this is pretty cool. This is the explosion. Oops. So 1998, what do these numbers mean here? So in 1998, Marriott had 1,400 hotels, and they were managing. So the Marriott was managing half of them, about half. And half of them were being managed by a franchisee. Today, Marriott manages just 285 more, but franchisees manage 4,200 more. So that explosion of growth that they talked about in the video, that was the growth of Marriott, the growth of their branding and franchising, not the growth of them managing the hotels, and not the growth of them buying real estate. As they talked about, they would not have been able to grow nearly as much, especially to grow their culture. And the Marriott culture is one of the greatest. Don't listen to me. Go to like Forbes and Fortune and great places to work. And Marriott's always right up there in the top 5 globally to work for. The difference in what we're talking about is that you're most likely not interacting with a Marriott employee in the United States at most Marriott hotels. Ritz-Carltons, big convention Marriotts, as they said, they want to control those, and good for them. So I mentioned the service and profit chain. Again, let me know. I'll send this over to you. This is take great care of your team. Your team will take great care of the guest. The guest will be loyal in return. And then the revenues and the profits fall into line. This is a story, and I'll share that with you, but it's just a story about one of the individuals that we interviewed. We interviewed 150 people over a 4-year period about asking about their engagement in the hotel industry. A shout out to Chuck Cooper at Whitewater Consulting. Give Chuck a shout. He's been in our show before. He's out of Charlotte. He's an author. Check out his book, Unprecedented. Hi, Chuck. Thanks for your help on this. Chuck was helping me with this study from Zippia, talking about engagement in the United States. And so an engaged employee, a disengaged employee, or an actively disengaged employee, there are 3 buckets, okay? And that's important because there's just 3 buckets. You're either engaged or you're not, right? And so we did this study back in before the pandemic, right? And then during. And we asked them these questions here. Are you open to exploring other job opportunities? If they say no, that means they're engaged. Okay, so that's one example. So this was the results of our study. So nationwide, all industries. Okay, Zippia came out with this really cool study. You can look it up. And we took that data and then we analyzed it. And so the engagement for the nation I want to say this is 2023. So this is February 2023. So this is for 2022. 32% engagement, disengaged was 49%, and actively disengaged was 17%. So disengaged means you're going through the motions. If somebody asks you, hey, are you looking for another job? They're like, I'll explore it with you. Sure. I'll interview. I'll see what else is out there. These are the people that will probably take an increase in salary to work across the street if they're offered to do so. The engaged are the ones that say, no, I'm good. I'm actually, you can offer to pay me more, but I'm really happy here. I'm engaged. I'm doing my, I'm filling my purpose here. And so, and then the actively disengaged, you can probably experience what that is. That's the nothing against the individual, but those are the people that are pulling down the engaged into the disengaged and the disengaged into the actively disengaged. They're the ones that are eroding the foundation of your capabilities of delivering a workplace environment that encourages positive activities and positive moments. So our study, we did 150, mostly hotel managers, and it was not good. We came up with a 7% that were engaged, 67 were disengaged, and 25% were actively disengaged. We went further and we asked them more questions. And we asked them reasons that they would stay, reasons that they would leave. And this was pretty cool. These are in the 90s here. So we asked them a question to say, the job security, the fact that you have a job, does that keep you loyal and like to the company that's employing? So if they're working for a company that they don't feel secure, and a company offers security, such as not just a paycheck, but like an employment contract, for example, those were one of the questions. And they said, absolutely, I would go, I would leave today if there was a company out there when I'm not feeling secure about where my next paycheck's coming from. If there was a company out there that said, I'll guarantee you a year's worth, of employment, regardless of what happens. And the other one is being a part of a profit sharing program, or an employee stock ownership plan, an ESOP. If you watch this show, you know how much I encourage people to explore that. And I do have a solution for that. If you did want to explore it, I work with some consulting agencies that they'll do an audit for you. They'll evaluate your company and its worth. And it's a potential exit for the current owners of the hotel management company, for example, the independent hotel management company, to exit and maintain their legacy, and actually sell their company to the employees. And the employees don't pay, they become the owners. And that's what an ESOP is. And so if you want to know more about that, just let me know. So, yeah, this was pretty cool too. The reasons that they're loyal, this was fascinating. So 81%, and if you work in the hotel industry, you know what I'm talking about. 81% said, I'm not loyal to my employer, I'm loyal to my team. I'm not leaving for a higher wage or salary because I would let them down. So just let that sink in a little bit. When we talk about what's different about working in the hotel and hospitality industry, it's that feeling. And just imagine that. Imagine working in an environment when your supervisor or your general manager is feeling that way about you. They won't leave for more money because of you. So the question about whether or not the guests know about this, they don't. They don't know about that. And so those are the general managers that we have on the People Who Move podcast. Okay. And the ones that keep on coming back. That's the fascinating one, part of it. Oh, yeah. For the ones who are loyal, 20% bump keeps me loyal. That doesn't keep them loyal. So if you're working for a company, the question was like, if you're thinking about leaving, right, and you actually leave for something that you think is better or more secure over here, if that employer offers you 20% more, would you stay or not? And only 19% said, I would stay for 20% more if they have something out there that's promising them more security or ownership. So what does that lead us to the current state? And I'm just about done here. And so again, if you want a copy of this, I'll send it over to you. We made this, right? I made this. Okay, so there's a barrier here. There's different languages that owners and investors speak. There's different incentives. It's commoditized. Some people are fee motivated. Some people are more motivated by trust and creativity and teamwork. You get the properties down here, and the guests are over here. Like, I had no idea. I spent $185 billion for this. What about us? And here's another visual here. The upside down pyramid, not in a great way, but it does talk about the current state of the hotel management and operating model with owners, operators, the brands, the franchises, and the guests and the employees and working there. And so there is, I hope that you found this educational. That's what this People Who Move podcast is all about. So I will put my big fat head up there and say goodbye. Hey, bro, you'll be proud of me. I did this for under 45 minutes, but over 30 minutes, which is our original goal. But thanks everybody for watching, and love you all, and give me a shout if there's anything I can do for you. Good luck and have a great April. Bye.